Comic Chat Army. We're here today with Tim Lattie, the creator of... Son of a bitch.
Well, you got the first part right. You got the first part down.
Yeah. Well, we're here with Tim Lattie. What book do you got?
I should have done the intro. No, my name's Tim Lattie, and I'm here pumping my book Night Stars about teenage time travelers. It's on Indiegogo right now.
Is this your first book ever?
No. I mean, I've been published many times, but this is my creator-owned book, and I have another one I want to do after this. So in 2012, I did a Kickstarter. I was a doorman at a bar, and got in a fight with the owners, who are two of my best friends. But I was just like, oh man, I got this idea for a comic. I'm gonna go do it. And I did a Kickstarter, and that was the first creator-owned thing I ever did. And that book. I only did one issue back then, and then every year I was always able to get a little bit more done. Even as I was fortunate enough to start doing other stuff, like other published work. So this is the culmination of that project. This is the full story, plus we're adding like one more story to it.
All right, so is this like a trade paperback?
Yes, dude, it'll be a 125 plus page hardcover. So it's going to be over 125 pages, hardcover, 3 stickers for $25.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to get the word out to everybody. Like, this is a deal, dude. You know what I mean? Like, this is a steal as far as like what you're getting for the price, in my opinion.
All right, is this a self-contained story or a one-shot, or is there going to be more after?
It's a jumping off point. So it's the origin story of the characters. Well, I'll tell you about the book. So it's a story about these 3 kids, and they're taken aboard a flying saucer. And when they're on there, the saucer kind of morphs around and puts them in these suits that make them look like aliens, like little green men. But the saucer is actually a time machine, so it takes them back in time where they crash land in Roswell in 1947. So they're like the Roswell aliens. But from there, it's their journey throughout time, kind of dealing with history's mysteries. Like they knock Amelia Earhart's plane out the sky. One of them falls in love with Anne Frank. They get a Yeti as a pet. And this is the jumping off point. So this is the first 4 chapters is them going to Roswell and that whole adventure of being mistaken for aliens and getting chased around, full of a bunch of cool 80s references and movie references. And then the 5th chapter is going to be the introduction of the Yeti. And so ideally, this is going to be a jumping off point where I can do a couple of these a year or whatever other books I want to do at the same time. So that's the pitch.
Okay, I like it. I think we definitely might back that. That sounds
all right. Very
original and different than what we normally review.
Well, how old are you? I know you're not supposed to ask a girl that question, but I'm sure it's cool with guys.
I mean, I'm 30.
Okay, all right. I'm about to be 40, but we're in like the same ballpark. Dude, I grew up on like Goonies and Monster Squad and like all those movies. So this is my version of this was my love to that in a sci-fi adventure. You know what I mean? Like kids going on some kind of wild, the E.T. bike chase or something. And yeah, the cool thing about it is when you're doing time travel, dude, you can go anywhere. You know what I mean? The next one I want to do like more of like a radio show, like an Indiana Jones, like stuck on an island with a volcano. You could do a Western. You could go like on a pirate ship. So it's kind of like a genre jumper within, I mean, everybody's seen sci-fi shows. But yeah. It's a creative tool, and I've been working on it for a while, so everything's kind of refined. And this is like I said before, dude, I've done so much Ghostbusters over the years now. I've been able to do a bunch of stuff for IDW and other companies. Before we came on, we were talking about the Jay and Silent Bob stuff behind me. And then I always kept working on this, man, and I was lucky enough to be busy. But this was it's just different, dude, when it's your own thing, if that makes sense. It's different. You can sing cover songs all day, bro. When it's your song, it's got more impact to it.
So how did you get to doing the art for Jay and Silent Bob? Strikes Back, right?
Yeah, Reboot. So they ended up filming it. So there was another movie called SuperCon, and it's a funny movie. And it has the dude from True Blood, the brother from True Blood, the Kurgans in it from Highlander, and a few other people. and they had a bunch. They wanted real comic book people to fill the Comic-Con. So we got asked to be kind of like extras. We were like kind of extras, kind of not extras. So we set up our normal booths, and we were in the movie. When Jay and Silent Bob reboot came around, I guess they were using the same production company, and they went and hit up all the comic book artists again to be part of this ChronicCon scene that they had in the movie. And every time they hit me up, I'm just like, okay, cool, because I'd already done that now. And I'm like, all right, cool, but I want to do art for the movie. So every time they're hitting me up, dude, I kept saying that. Every email, I'm like, yeah. I was like, no, I'll do it. I want to do art for the movie. Eventually, dude, I just kind of broke them down, and I got a call one day, and it was the art director, and I ended up designing some characters. I redesigned Cockknocker for the movie, so there's a scene where they all come in, and it's Cockknocker and a bunch of henchmen as Kevin Smith, not Silent Bob, is giving a speech, which is really funny. And then I just started drawing stuff for the movie and sending it in, and Kevin would see it, and they used it, dude. It was just one of those things, man. Even more funny was that it took place in the mall that I used to go and pretend to be Brody at from Mallrats. It was just like this crazy, surreal experience. Dude, we're in there setting, so my buddy owns a comic shop, and he's setting up, they used all his stuff to populate Brody's comic shop inside the mall. And while we're in there kind of watching them do all this, you know, just why not? Why wouldn't you go check out the set if you have access to it? It just turned into a conversation. They're like, yeah, we got the rights to Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles. And my boy's like, dude, this is the dude. And he was like, if you want, you can hang your originals up. So, dude, there's even a scene where Brody, when he makes his appearance, dude, it's about 9 of my original Ghostbuster covers, like hanging on the wall in frames. We ran to Michael's, bought a bunch of frames, framed them, and then brought them back to the set. So it was just one of those cases of, dude, it was Jay and Silent Bob. I grew up on that stuff. You know what I mean? So it just, dude, that one meant something. And it was a seize the opportunity kind of experience. Dude, met Kevin Smith a bunch of times, talked with him a bunch, met Muse. They are awesome. They're like they are in the movies. I don't think there's too much acting going on.
That's what I was gonna ask. Are they the same on camera as off camera?
No, they're better. I swear, dude, they're better. Kevin Smith, dude, I'm debating like how much I want to go into, but like Kevin Smith, like he has a cool scene at the end of the movie where he plays himself and he does like a caricature of himself. And then I also saw him giving a speech because we went to another event later on where they filmed the movie and he talked before and after, and he was talking about how he got to know Stan Lee really well. And Stan Lee, there was the character of Stan Lee, and then there was Stanley Lieberg. You know, like it was two different things. So when you're a kid and you put on Marvel Action Hour or something like that, Stan Lee's like, hey, true believers, like, get ready, and he starts talking in alliteration and everything. That's the character. That is the Stan Lee persona. And then there's like another person behind the scenes. And I felt like when we were on the set, you got to see the Kevin Smith, like the real version of him. And the real version of him felt a lot more like he does in the movies than he does on like YouTube and stuff like that. Does that make sense? And does that kind of,
yeah, makes totally sense.
And a lot of times, so dude, you go to these comic conventions or whatever, and you meet the people that you see on screen, and you might admire them. They might be your role models growing up, like Kevin Smith was a big factor for me. Dude, you don't want them to suck. You know, like you don't want them to see them and they're like an asshole. Nah, dude, he was way more genuine than I thought he was going to be, man. And yeah, he was just cool, dude. He was just like really cool. He was telling stories like on set and stuff like that. Yeah, man, cool people. Muse as well, and Jason Brody was.
Nice.
So something hopefully fans can take that home with them. You know what I mean? Like. And look, they were in Louisiana. They were in New Orleans for 3 months. Every story I heard was the same about how cool. There was no story about him at like a dinner being an ass to like a waiter or something like that. Every story was Kevin Smith was cool. He was cool, dude. Took pictures, signed stuff. And he just had a heart attack. So maybe that had a factor. Maybe he had a life-changing, you know, maybe he had a different view on life. I don't know. But from my experience, he was awesome. So I'm I don't care if he comes out and is like, dude, I hate that dude, Tim Lattie. He forced his way onto the movie. Whatever, bro. Kevin Smith's my boy.
Where can people pick up your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ghostbuster covers?
And wherever you can get it, you got a comic shop, you should be able to grab it. We just had a new G.I. Joe come out July 7th, I believe. So anywhere you have a comic shop, a lot of times they're the retailer exclusive. So you're gonna have to talk to the person that's running the shop to get it, or you might end up on eBay grabbing them for whatever they're going for. Those 1 in 10s or whatever. You know, it might be 1 in 20. I think a couple of them are 1 in 25. But yeah, you can probably just Google it. It's pretty simple. Those are easy to get for the most part. You know, just go to the comic shop. Night Stars, you got to go to Indiegogo. But yeah, Barnes and Nobles, I know carries them everywhere.
I'm talking about the ones that you did.
Yeah. Dude, you should be in any comic shop. I mean, this is all I have. I have a few extras, but I'm not selling them on my website or anything. Man, honestly, probably eBay would be your best bet at this point, unless IDW has back issues. But I don't even know if they're doing that. I don't even know if they're selling back stock. But you can see a lot of these. If you go get a trade paperback, a lot of times the art will be in there. You know, the covers or some of the interiors and stuff like that.
What's the name of your website?
Lattie, LATTIEINK.com, LattieInk.com. And I'm also doing a project with Chuck Dixon. If you remember him, he drew but he wrote Batman for years, dude. For years and years, he wrote Batman. He created Bane, probably created a ton of other 90s Batman characters. And I ended up working on a book with him. We're doing a webcomic right now that's free. And you can go get that at archaven.com. So it's free to read, comes out once a week.
Nice. What's that story?
Go Monster Go. It's called Go Monster Go. So it's about these teens that are in the Nevada desert in the 60s, Caliente Springs. And it's kind of got like I don't know if you ever saw Erie, Indiana, or one of those shows. Like every different episode, there's kind of like, one time it might be a ghost car that they're racing in the desert at midnight or something. One episode might be a werewolf is chasing them down, or they got an alien from outer space. So it's this cool overall story, but at the same time, you get to meet these teens and follow their everyday life kind of situations inside this crazy world.
Okay. And is there
that was free. You got no reason to check that one out, you know?
Right. I'll put a link to all of this down in the description. Is there a reason you chose Indiegogo over Kickstarter?
Yeah, there were a couple. When we were breaking it down, it just seemed like Indiegogo was the better choice. And it seemed like Indiegogo had more, that's where more of the comics were. Like Cyberfrog has to be the #1 selling one out there. I mean, that's got to be all time. So it just felt like the crowd was on Indiegogo. There were some other reasons as well. Indiegogo doesn't have an app, which I know is bothering my buddy, my partner in this. I don't know why they don't. They should. But that was it. But it's kind of, it might have been like a Coke or Pepsi kind of situation at the end of the day. Okay. Really. Like if it's going to hit, it's going to hit, you know?
Yeah. I guess what's some do's and don'ts about making your own comic?
Man, great question. Do's and don'ts. I was just on the phone with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like podcasts and stuff like that. And he was just like, dude, you overthink yourself too much. And I have another friend that does comic books as well, and he's very talented, Vernon Smith. And he used to tell me all the time, this was just like a phrase that he would throw out, get out of your own way. Whenever you're doing something creative, you always have a tendency of like getting in your own head and screwing it up, dude. And you're always at your best if you ever played a sport, or I don't know, man, maybe go talk to a girl at the bar or something like that. Like if you're in like a loose mood, if you're feeling good and you're casual and comfortable, dude, it's just going to be better. So if you're doing anything creative, the same rules apply, man. Like just get out of your own head. A lot of time the work will do it for itself. You know, like you just might be inclined, like with this story right here. Again, another friend, totally different person again this time. he was like, dude, what's your demographic? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm just writing what I feel like writing. Like, I want to write like a cool teen adventure story that deals with like conspiracies and aliens and monsters and myths. And that's what it is. And who likes it, likes it. So, dude, that's a life thing, to be honest with you, bro. Just like, dude, find your perfect pitch, you know, find your fastball and then just throw that thing.
Okay.
Yeah, bear. I should write a book. I throw a fastball, man.
As an artist, have you ever drew in some of your friends or family in the background of comics?
All the time, constantly. So when I did that first Kickstarter years ago, a lot of people, one of the tiers, I should add it to this one, but one of the tiers was that you get to be a character in the book. And I only had 25 pages to fit everybody in. You get to be a character in the book, and then you get the page that you were on. You got to work that in with the story. You know what I mean? Like, so it's got to fit and it's got to make sense. So a lot of people, I felt like they didn't get as much airtime. And I've been drawing them for 10 years. Like, there's a buddy of mine, Brian Held, he passed away. He was a huge supporter of Night Stars. Huge support. He did a local radio show down here for iHeartRadio. And I still put him in. He was a soldier in the first Night Stars. And anytime I have a military soldier, it's almost like Christopher Nolan. Like, Christopher Nolan always has the same cast in his movies. You know, it's like, oh, he's got Michael Caine again. So it's similar to that. Like, I'm just kind of Brian Held is my Michael Caine, you know. I have another buddy of mine. It's his birthday today, Mole Craig. I'm always throwing him into stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And I just like that unity. Also like the idea that legally you can't technically do it, but if you see something I've drawn from Ghostbusters to Night Stars to Jay and Silent Bob, whatever, maybe they all exist in the same universe. In my head, they do. I'm even sneaking, not legally, X01 into Go Monster Go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm throwing in fun little Easter eggs of things that I've worked on, things Chuck Dixon's worked on. It's just fun. It adds another layer to the process of reading a comic. If you know the artist is doing cool stuff and he's hiding stuff, all right, well, maybe I might pay a little bit closer attention. You know, I might have to go through this twice. So yeah, I'm always throwing in fun things. All
right. Well, where can people find you at?
Like I said, LattieInc.com, LATTIEINK.com, or Team Lattie on everything, any kind of social media. I'm actually doing a Twitch stream now too, which is pretty fun. We just did our first episode yesterday, and it was kind of like, there's a lot of Ghostbuster rumors going around. I talk about that. I break down like a Chuck Dixon script to page, kind of the process of doing a comic. So you can find me Team Lattie on Twitch or Team Lattie on any social media.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, just go check out the Night Stars Indiegogo. It's you get a free toy. If we get enough people, everybody gets a free toy. It's worth checking out.
You said a free toy?
Free toy, yeah. So 125-page hardcover plus for $25, you get 3 stickers. Anybody at the $50 tier. So that could be the hardcover, 3 stickers and a T-shirt, or there's 2 different versions of the hardcover. You know, whatever kind of mix you can get in there. If we get enough people to back this book, anybody that's at the $50 tier or over gets a free toy. So a free modern action figure. I even have a little bit of a prototype. Let's see. So it's been designed by a very talented friend of mine, Adrian Melton. And let me turn off the light for this. And yeah, we have this cool action figure. This is just me playing around with the files on my 3D printer, but it'll be fully articulated action figure, modern style, whatever, however many points of articulation that is, like 30, you know? It's not gonna be a Star Wars figure.
I think like 22 points of articulation.
Dude, it's up there, man. It's crazy. The wrist move, removable heads, stuff like that. So we just kind of worked it out. That was kind of our game plan. Like, if we tell people, hey, the price of the book, the price of all that stuff, very reasonable price point. But not only that, if you share it with your friends, if you tell other people, everybody could get a free toy. And we would lose profit in a situation like that. You know what I mean? Because our profit would go to be making this toy. But it's kind of like, I want to do that. I want to do things 80s style. I want to come out with a book and have a toy every time. And like I said, you help out the campaign, then we give it back to you. We give it back to you in an action figure. which I think would be an awesome model of doing things.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do the normal 6-inch, I think they are.
Yeah. So it'd be like a figure arts figure. I'm looking. I have some of the Sailor Moons in front of me. Yeah, right around there, 5-6 inches.
Okay. Well, go
You
back
can
to
see
Kickstarter,
on
guys.
the Indiegogo page.
All right.
We have a 3D model spinning around.
All right, I'll check it out. But thank you for coming talking with us, Tim.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
All right.
What? You mean you haven't subscribed to Comicchatauthority? Oh, come on. Subscribe already. What are you waiting for? It's no big deal. Like, man, don't forget to tell him to hit that like button. Yeah, that too. Just subscribe.